You can get to notes like that, you can start playing blues melodies that are a little bit trickier. If you look on the chart, you see there's something like 14 notes extra that you get by bending. If you only bend to that whole note or that bottom note and you miss the one in between, it's a melody you may not be able to play, or a blues riff you might not be able to play. So check it out and try taking time. Find that note in between, hold it, give it some power, give it some tone. Work on doing that, and that'll increase your ability to play more stuff on the harp in terms of bent notes. I'm going to do something now that incorporates some rhythmic playing along with a bunch of bending and a bunch of sort of trick stuff. My bag of tricks, once again, I've got how to bend notes, I got how to do some rhythm, I got some vibrato with my hands, I got some vibrato like that, which is that sort of coarse blues vibrato. Think of like when you're real upset and you're crying and you got kind of a thing. That's a real bluesy kind of vibrato. Don't worry if your throat makes a little bit of noise along with it. Don't be bashful. Make that noise. It'll come out in the mic. It adds to the tone. We're going to get into a couple different types of vibrato. So far you've seen me doing it. I'm going to explain a little more about it. If you once again refer to the tape number 1, Harmonica Architecture, you'll see where I describe a lot about it. We're going to get into that right now. I just got done talking about the blues vibrato. What now I want to get into is the hand stuff. The most important place for using this is into the vocal mic or into the mic that's in front of you. If you're doing primarily in the Delta blues, you know, if you're playing along with somebody doing some Robert Johnson kind of stuff, or you're playing harp by yourself, or if you want to get down and do some slow blues type things and you want to involve a lot of harmonica, vibrato and hand stuff. These are all, like I say, things that I pull out of my bag of tricks that I may be playing a blues tune through my amp and really digging in and playing with a lot of power, and then I might want to change up and get some dynamics going. And so I'll go way down, and I'll put that mic under my arm, and I'll come over to the house mic, the vocal mic, and I'll start doing some stuff with my hands. And the vibratos and the things you can create with your hands are part of what creates some of the emotion in the blues. You can do the crying type vibrato. Now that's a combination of my hands and I'm doing this, ooh, ooh, kind of on the inhale. That's where I'm getting that shake, which is a light version of the one I showed you a moment ago, which involves more guttural sound. So you get that going, then you add you can do it in that manner. You can also do it in a faster type of vibrato, where you may not need to do as much of the shake within your throat. You can play more of a plain tone and let your hand do the shake. Now see what I did? I did it with my hand, then I threw it into the throat, then I bent down. So the hand stuff combined with the different throat stuff really can make a lot of emotion happen. Remember, we're also talking dynamics here. We're talking quiet and loud. So you see what I'm doing right now, the bag of tricks that I'm using dynamics, I'm using hand vibrato, I'm using throat vibrato. Now the other thing I'm throwing in here is I'm throwing in what I call double stops, which are small two-note little glitches like I'm hitting two notes there. Go from two notes to a one note to an octave. All these things are things in your bag of tricks you can throw. Now I'm going to get into talking about a couple styles of harmonica. We're going to get into the Delta blues. This is Robert Johnson, somebody old Elmore James type stuff, where you would be playing it on a mic like this and getting an acoustic thing going. We'll start with this thing here. Not everything you get off the harmonica should be stolen from other harmonica players. As I said earlier, hey, you know, you're going to be more you if you play stuff you stole off other guys besides harmonica players. If you steal it from a harp player, they're going to say, oh, that's right, that's that harp lick he took from that guy. If you steal it from a piano player, a guitar player, they might not ever call you a thief. They might just say you're an innovator. And so there's some stuff like out of New Orleans, a great piano player, Professor Longhair, who did some stuff that was great. And if you listen to it and you start checking out what he was doing on the piano, you can go, I think I can do that on the harmonica. Yeah. And then there's sort of the groove that the Meters and the Neville's got going, that old, actually I think it goes back even way farther than that, back to sort of that Bo Diddley kind of groove. That some Bo Diddley type stuff, some pocky way business. So yeah, that's a style of stuff, and you can see how I'm using my hands a lot on an acoustic mic. Now I can play all this stuff through my amplifier, and I can play all this stuff with a lot more power and a lot more meat, but just once in a while, you want to change up. You want to get more dynamics, and when the band is pumping full blast, it's hard for you to get the dynamics. And there's so much sweet stuff you can do on a harmonica that doesn't carry when you're playing through an amp, that you can drop into. You got to get the band to come down. You got to, they got to understand the DE word, dynamics. And then you can start doing some stuff. You know, start grabbing the stuff out of your little bag of tricks, going, how about this? So I'm going to go back, I'm going to turn on my amp. We're going to dive into some more serious power type stuff. Now I'm going to talk to you briefly about amplifiers. Everybody and his mother thinks that he knows the different amplifiers that are good for the harp players. Oh, you got to have a bassman, you got to have this, you got to have that. It really boils down to how loud your band's playing. It boils down to what kind of power you need. I always figured that more power is better. But I've been using the same amplifier for myself on tour with every band I've done through Steve Miller when I was in the movie The Rose, and that was the loudest band on the planet, with my own band, and in most of the recordings I've done which involve any kind of amplifiers, the amp I've used has been one of these two, either my old Pro Reverb, which is sort of in a little bit of disrepair right now, and then my second upgrade, a Pro Reverb. The only thing I've done to modify these amplifiers over the way they originally made is that I've added a mid-range tone control into, whereas they both came basically with volume, treble, and bass, I've added a mid-range. On this one, they're put way over here on the right. Here I eliminated the tremolo because I really don't use the vibrato of the amplifier. So the amp is basically a stock amplifier, although what I'm doing, I'm running through a single 15-inch JBL speaker. I like that because it has a big fat tone. When you want to play some real ballsy bottom end stuff, the JBL, the 15-inch speaker gives you a little more depth, a little more beauty on your sweet stuff and in your fat stuff. When you want to scream, man, it really screams. These are 4 ohm output amplifiers, so the speakers that I'm using on these are only 4 ohms. The type of microphones I use vary, and I'm going to get in a little later to talking to you about the different types of microphones. The one thing I have been using since I was a kid is I've been using microphones with volume controls on them. Now, Shure came out with this microphone, I can't tell you when, but when I was pretty young, I got a hold of it. And the reason I liked it was because it had a volume control, and that allowed me, because when I just had an on-off switch, I was finding myself, whenever I got into a situation where I was feeding back, I got into a situation where I had to turn the harp off, or I had to cover the mic up or something. And so by having a volume control, I don't have to turn off, I can just turn down. And this allowed me to keep playing my solo without driving people crazy, or if I was playing something in the background, to turn down. We're going to get more into that when we start talking about mic technique and stuff like that. But I just wanted to show you what's going on with my amplifiers. I have a whole stack of amps. I mean, Fender Harvards, Fender Champ amps, the Vibrolux, Vibro Verb, Pro Reverbs, Supers, Twins. I tend to prefer Fender amps. I say I'm a real hound dog for those. And it's just that old tube sound, and I still get along real well. But I've also done a lot of touring with some transistor amps like the Roland Cube 40, just a little thing with a 10-inch speaker that's real stinky. So I'm not saying you can't get good tone out of those. What I find a lot of guys doing is having an amp that's way too little power, and they got it on the floor, and they're turning it up so loud that all they're getting is distortion and feedback. And that's a style of harmonica playing a lot of guys like and a lot of guys use. I tend to keep my